We are live again on a Friday. No, it's not Friday. Welcome to a Wednesday. Listen, how are you guys doing tonight? You guys okay? I'm feeling a little under the weather tonight, and I've been struggling all day long. But I'm committed. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I'm waiting around to see if Nicole will make it tonight. I don't know. Hopefully she will. Give her a little bit of time. It's good to see you guys in the chat. We got Ralph. What's up, Ralph? How are you, sir? There she is. Hey, Nicole. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Good. Good to
Um,
see you.
I appreciate you coming on this evening with me and chatting. I have seen some of your story and I was just curious and like wanted to know more about you and wanted to introduce you to the watchers, the subscribers, the crowd, the community. So thank you
Yeah.
for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Sorry if you hear my kids in the background.
Oh,
You
it's
might
okay.
hear
I love
some.
them.
You might hear a bit of screaming or jumping up and down. So
Oh, I
don't
love
mind.
the kids. I miss my kids being being small and being loud and obnoxious and
Yeah.
aggravating it and screaming at all the right moments.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. For those that may not know you, will you just introduce yourself, say who you are, and just a little bit about yourself and how you came to eat this carnivore way of eating or keto,
Yeah.
whatnot?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my name's Nicole. I live in Western Canada. Have always lived in Canada, and I'm married. I have two little girls. Stay-at-home mom. I'm a homeschool mom, but I also run. Um, I also have my own social media management agency, so I manage for different companies and whatnot, and then I have my own Instagram page that I'm trying to grow as well. So that's basically what I do. And for in terms of my diet, it was about 7 months ago where I learned about carnivore, and I when I first heard about it, I thought it was crazy, as
Hmm.
a lot of people do when they first hear about it. And I've always loved meat. Like I've always thought, like, okay, I would never ever be vegan. Um, but I just thought it was kind of crazy to only eat meat or animal products. But the main reason why I wanted to give it a shot is um, not only weight loss, but the main reason was for mental health. I've had like a 5 year on and off battle with depression after having my first child, and so um, and trying everything and different medications and all of that. And even though I was on medications and it was keeping me okay, um I never felt great, right? And so then I had heard some testimonies and some stories of people sharing their carnivore journey and how that's helped their mental health and helped them to be able to get off medications and whatnot. So I thought, what do I have to lose? So that's when I really decided to give it a go about 7 months ago. And I just did for a while meat and eggs and dairy. Um, and it was only a few days when I realized, like, wow, I feel good. Like the bloating also that I've struggled with for years, it was just like a few days completely gone. And I just thought that was crazy. And so
Hmm.
then I was like, okay, this might really be something here, right? So I did that for a few or a couple months, And then I thought I would start introducing in again some fruit and some honey, and my body handled that well. I still felt great. Was still losing weight, not tons, and I'm still not to my goal, but I think my issue is since I do have dairy and I love cheese and stuff, I can tend to go overboard still with the, with the milk and the heavy whipping cream and the cheese and all that. So now I'm trying to pull back on that, but basically, yeah, a few months after eating that way, then I started to lower my antidepressants, and it went fine. And then like another month later, I lowered some more, and now I guess 7 months after eating this way, I'm completely off of all my medication. And
Nice.
I've tried in the past to go off, and it's been absolutely like horrible, like ending up in the hospital and just terrible. I've never been able to get off. And so this time I've had no side effects. I've had no like relapse into depression. And so that's really been the most amazing part for me, is being able to get off the medication that I was on for 5 years.
Yeah, and honestly, that depression, like for me, I've lost 270 pounds in a year. That's
How
a
much?
lot of weight. 270
Oh,
pounds.
wow.
Yeah, I was 457 pounds, and now I'm 188 pounds. I've lost 270
Wow.
pounds basically. I've reversed type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I'm off of all my medications with the exception of testosterone, because my testosterone was 122 versus 220 being the lowest for a man my age.
Okay.
I've seen some amazing things. I would trade every single bit of it for the being set free from the captivity of the depression that I was under. I was depressed for 3 years. I laid on a couch. I couldn't be a husband. I couldn't be a dad. I couldn't be a son. I couldn't be anything because I was so captivated by the depression and the anxiety and the mental just prison cell that I was locked up in.
Right.
And so, like, I had no idea that Carnivore could do that. I had no
Yeah.
idea that whenever I set out on this weight loss thing, this fad, however people want to call it or describe it, it's not a fad, but however people say that.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it would speak directly into the issue that I was suffering from, even though I didn't set out on the journey for that reason. So
Right.
it is absolutely amazing. And being that you have kids, being that I have kids, it's one thing to say that we want to get our health in order, that we want to lose weight. It's a whole nother thing to perform at optimal level and be able to be a parent and be able to run around with our kids and raise our kids and set an example for our children.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, what is some of the first things that you saw change whenever you switched over, as far as like mental health or weight loss or any of those kinds of things? What's some of the major things that you saw when you first started out on this way?
Definitely. I think that the number one first thing was not being bloated. Like, I feel like people live in this state of many people live in this state of constant bloating, and that their body just begins to think that's normal and that's just how life is. And so that's probably, but it's not. And that's probably the first thing I noticed. And the second was like just a lot more energy, like not feeling that constant brain fog and just having more mental clarity. Those are the two main things that I noticed first, and just, yeah, having more energy to run around and play with my kids. Like they're in the stage where they want to play tag all day and they want to do hide and seek and they want to do all these things. And before, I just felt like I just did not have the energy to do that. I like the mental energy or the physical energy, just feeling in a big slum all the time. And like you said, like feeling like a prison cell, like you're captive in your own body. That's a perfect way to just describe it. And so um, just feeling, just more alive generally, and fitting clothes better. And yeah, those are probably some of the main things that I started to notice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what made you want to start like doing social media? I know everybody has their idea of what social media is like, and like getting into the whole Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all the different things that there are. What was it that said that for you was like, I feel like I need to share this with other people, with the world? What was
Yeah,
it that triggered that for you?
I think, well, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and um, when I get into something, I can get really passionate about it, and naturally I just want to share about it. And like I love making content, and I've done for years, I've done ran social media pages for other people, and I was like, well, you know what? Why don't I start my own? Like this is something that I've become really interested in. And a few years back, I took schooling in holistic hormone health, so I'm educated in a lot of different ways when it comes to the wellness space. And so and so yeah, I just was like, well, you know what, I might as well put it to good use and connect with other people, share my story. I know, like, even for depression, right, there's a lot of people struggling, and if I can help even one person or a couple people be able to have a similar experience to what I have, then it's all worth it to me. So that's kind of what got me nudged in that direction and wanting to start that, and you know be able to also partner with different people, and make a little bit of money as well too. Being a stay-at-home mom, I'm all about finding different streams of income. So yeah, that's kind
Yes.
of my reasonings.
Well, that's kind of for me what the same thing was. My life had been so since April. I started Carnivore like strictly April the 17th, 2022, and my life so drastically changed, and it has been ever since. Not just the way that I eat, but like my dedication, my consistency, my motivation, my struggles. They're still there, but they morphed. They changed into other things. But like I knew right away, like I had to share this with other people. So I started working with other people ever since that time. And now doing the YouTube thing, like it's amazing to me. It's not my main priority. My main priority, as I've reiterated many times to the people who watch my channel, um, I want to help people. I want to see people who are as depressed. I was at the point where every single day when I woke up, I was depressed and I was looking for a way to end my life. I did not want to continue living another day. I had a
Mhm.
wonderful wife. She's amazing. We've been married. We'll be married 22 years, July the 20th. She is the most amazing woman on the planet. I love her. I could not exist without her. I have the most amazing children. I have a 15-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. That's not the issue. I have an amazing mom. Like I love my family. They are supportive, they are amazing, but I was in a place that I was consumed with myself, and I was consumed with my health, and I was consumed with the depression and all the issues. I could not see past myself. And so when I finally found this way of eating and it started giving me the nutrients that my body needed, and
Mhm.
so I could perform optimally the way that I needed to function, that put me back at baseline. But as I share with so many people, um, it won't solve all your problems. It's not going to pay all your bills. It's not going to, create world peace. It's not going to alleviate you from all the circumstances of life. So, like, you have to still face those things. However, it gives you a stability. The other side of the coin is my faith. I believe in God. I trust in Jesus alone for my spiritual and ultimate well being. And those two are so intertwined together that when you put them together and you focus on just those things, I'm going to eat the proper human diet, if you will, and
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on following Christ. Like, I feel like the possibilities are endless. How have you seen those two things improve since you have went carnivore? Has your faith, has your your study, your growing, your education, whatever, increased since that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was at my lowest of lows, like I oh 3.5 years ago is that I actually attempted suicide, and I was
Mm,
in a mental health hospital for 3 months while I was pregnant, and my other daughter was how old was she? A year and a half. And so it was like that was the lowest of lows. And um, since then, just working this uphill battle and focusing on my health and my wellness, it's just crazy how it's all intertwined. And once you start actually like treating your body with respect and just living in a way that you feel like God would want you to live, right? And like that's why I don't like the body positivity movement, because it's not honoring to your body, and it's not honoring to God, because God calls us to treat our bodies as temples. And that's really the
yes.
mindset that I've grown in. And as I've grown in that, I feel like my faith has really grown. And even having more energy now, like being able to get up early in the morning or before bed, turn off my phone and just spend time in my Bible, reading the word, and making that more of a priority as well. It's just really helped me grow, like physically, mentally, spiritually. Um, yeah, even prioritizing, like I prioritize being outside a lot and being in nature, and exploring God's creation, and that builds my faith as well, right? And it also helps my mental health and my physical health, just being in the fresh air and seeing this beautiful world that God's created. Yeah.
I think it does too, honestly, and that's one thing. I trusted Christ at a young age, and like so, I went to seminary. I studied. I got a degree in religious studies and theology, and that's one thing that I've always tried to focus on. Now, like I said, for 3 years I was so depressed. I actually questioned God. I thought, well, God, why are you letting me go through this? And I know that it wasn't God putting me through that. It was me making decisions outside of His will. The most miserable person on earth is not the person who is, you know, doing whatever they want to do. It's the person who is a believer in Christ and outside of the will of God for their life. That's the most miserable person, I believe. And
Right.
like, I have seen my faith grow amazing. And like, that's one of the things that I treasure more than anything is
Mhm.
being able to see the faithfulness of God in my life, even through the roughest times of my life, and
Yeah.
then him bringing me through it and enabling me to continue life and thrive and be successful in those things.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just think it's amazing.
It is. Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today without God. Like he pulled me through some just horribly dark stuff, and I believe that's all by his grace. And he was able to to grow me from that. And now I'm able to help other people that maybe are in a similar situation that I was. And so that's really what drives me the most, is just feeling like I can help other people go through similar things that I've been through and encourage them, and help others find the joy and love that I found in God. And so that really drives me.
Yes, I think it's amazing, and like honestly, I saw your story on Instagram, and I was like, I want to talk to her. Like she, you were going by the conservative carnivore at the
Yeah.
time. I don't know. You change your name a little bit, but I was like, her message is the same. Like I love it. I love what she's doing. You can tell. I have a weird keen to be able to sense like whenever my heart tells me that there's good people, like I want to just work with them and I'm drawn to them. And I'm like, I want to get her story. I want to see what she's got to say. I know that there's other people who
Mm-hmm.
can glean something from her story, where they may not be able to glean something from mine. What is some
Right.
of the most unexpected benefits that you have seen outside of your way of eating that you think directly relates to your way of eating? Like,
Outside my way of eating. Um,
Like, how has it trickled over into other areas of your life?
right. I would say 100%, like, more productive in general in many different areas of my life, and just more willpower. Like, since I started, cold plunging and doing different things that are uncomfortable and hard, it's really helped me have more of a willpower and be disciplined. Um, be disciplined with routines and just things that I struggled with before, like really being disciplined in my life. And I just feel like it's really helped me be able to grow in those things as well. And I feel like I've had a lot more patience as a mom, which I guess could be just less anxiety, less easily triggered, more energy, all these things. I have more patience, I guess, which I didn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, that's definitely that's some of the things that I've seen as well. Like it's a calmness. I know as well. I'm sure you could probably test as well. We are not designed to be content. I think that there's a place in our lives that is always going to be discontent with things, or so to speak, and really it's based in a there's a hole in our lives that only God can fill, and it's to get us to desire to seek Him every day of our lives. And when we try to put other things in that spot, that deficit, we will consistently, if it's things, we will never be content. We will always trying to be um, gathering more things. If it's money, we'll always be trying to gather more money. If it's people, we'll always be trying to please more people. But when we put God in His rightful place, we will consistently seek God and we will grow towards God. And I feel like that eating this way has given me a health optimization that allows me to be able to perform optimally and fulfill His commands to us even better. Um, and
Absolutely.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
We have
absolutely.
families, we have kids, we have all the things, and we're never going to have all the answers, but that's always going to be the priority.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
so what does
I
your
just
family think about you eating this way and doing these things?
What's
They
what?
think you're
Sorry.
crazy. What does your family think about you eating carnivore? Do they eat it with you, or do they think you're crazy?
No, I've tried to get my husband on board too, but he loves his his carbs and his pizza, and he loves all that stuff, and he works really hard. So, I do think he needs some carbs, and I don't. So yeah, but most. Okay, honey, can you please go watch a show? Cartoon usually does a trick. No, but yeah, like my immediate family and stuff, they, I guess, kind of thought it was a bit crazy at first, but I don't eat strictly carnivore anymore. I'm doing basically now, for a while, I've been doing meat and eggs and dairy, fruit, honey, and now more recently I introduced back some certain vegetables like sweet potatoes, squash, those sorts of things, which I've handled really, really well. So I'm kind of at that point where I think someone could eat basically just carnivore and thrive and eat that way forever. But, I don't think everybody has to do that. I think you can also be thriving and eating, carbs like fruit and certain vegetables that are low in oxalates. So, so that's kind of what I'm doing and feeling really good doing that. That's why I changed my name from the conservative carnivore to my name now, because I'm like, well, I'm not just doing like meat and stuff now. So I kind of wanted to change that, although I do make a lot of the same content and whatnot. But so yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing, and I think my family sees, the changes in it, and even my husband sees that, and my kids notice. And there's been days where, I've either been traveling or we've had gatherings or certain things, and then I just eat whatever's there. And, my family and people can really see that the next few days after that, I'm just so off, and I just feel terrible and bloated and gross. And so that's always a reminder for me then, like, okay, like this, I want to keep eating this way forever, because every time I go off, even for one day, like I pay for it and I feel gross, and it's just not worth it to me. So
Mhm. That's the same thing I was noticing. I can tell the difference in my body. And like, I'm not mad at people who are vegan. Like, honestly, if that's what you get your thrills on, more power to you. I found what works for me. I found what I believe the proper human diet is. And I want to share that with the world. Like, if you don't want that, that's your decision. Just like faith. I found Jesus. He radically changed my life. He gave me purpose and direction. He gave me a purpose and a drive and a mission to do in this world. If you don't want that, that's your business. You have to answer for you. I have to answer for me. And so I will always err on the side of being obedient to what I feel like my call is, you know? And like, so I think carnivore is amazing. It's not the main thing for me. The main thing for me is Christ, like my relationship. And like secondary to that, I feel like though, if we can help other people to find their proper human diet, their health, the ability to move away from the consistent captivity that they are in, just like I was, or maybe even you, like I feel like that we can absolutely make a difference in this world for the positive, for the good. Where would you like to see this like carnivore ketogenic space be in the future? How would you like to see it change to become something better?
like the carnivore community in general.
Like, oh, that, or like the influencers, however you want to say it. Like, how do you think we can see our, this space become better and reach more people and help more people?
Yeah, um I guess I think just willing to, I mean, the approach I've kind of taken in a lot of ways is just being willing to say things how they are, and speak the truth, and in a nice way, I guess, but just really being willing to, okay, honey, sorry. Please. Sorry.
Sorry.
And I'm not totally sure how to answer that exactly, but yeah, and also like I want to share more about my faith as well, like sharing that part of it and how it's all been intertwined. And so yeah, like, because when I think about even the ways, like I'd like to talk more about just biblical way of eating, right? Like I feel like the ancestral way of eating, like it is more biblical. If you think back to the biblical times and like how would they be eating, right? Like, and so focusing on that aspect too. And
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, and this space is growing so fast. And I mean, there's a lot of people who, you know, yourself, you know, as well. There's a lot of people who see that, you know, a certain space is blowing up and they move into it, social media, trying to build their channel, their name, those things. But you know, I really respect those who have actually done it, those who are being true and being honest, even if it's something I don't agree with, you know what I mean? Even if it's something that I wouldn't subscribe to or
yeah,
whatever. I can respect people who are being honest about who they are, who they want to be, their goals. That's the first thing that I had to change in my life because I made excuses for everything. I lived in such a way that I had an excuse for everything. It was everybody's fault. I played the blame game, and things really started to change whenever I started taking responsibility for my own actions, owning my choices, and not letting even myself off the hook with, you know, the excuses, so to speak. And so I think that makes a really big difference.
oh yeah.
What are things that you specifically put in place to keep you from going back to that place where you know, were desperate or despaired of life? You know, you talked about the depression and all. What are some things that you do specifically every day to keep you from ending up back in that same spot that you started out in?
Definitely self-care. You know, prioritizing just, you know, that's why I started cold therapy and cold plunging. I that's helped me tremendously as well. So I do that, and you know, making sure I am outside every day. You know, I get outside barefoot and I go for a walk. I make sure that I'm drinking enough water, and I add a bit of sea salt to that as well to get the minerals and electrolytes. Being in the Word every day, even if it's, you know, I grew up in a church that was a little bit or a lot of it legalistic at times, where it was like basically you had to be in prayer and in your Bible an hour every day, and it had to look like this and this and this, and that threw me off for a bit. And you know, I've realized in the past years that it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to be this big hour long Bible and prayer time. But just even prioritizing, you know, 10 minutes when I first wake up in the morning, or 10 minutes after, or 10 minutes before bed, you know, being in the Word. Those are some of the biggest things that I've implemented. And I'm still trying to always wake up at a consistent time. That's really hard for me, especially with young kids.
Hmm.
It is tiring, especially when they're up at 5 o'clock sometimes. And so it's like, well, do I get up at 4 to do my morning routine? So, but I feel so much better when I'm up before them. So that's something I'm still working on to try and get a good routine with that. So yeah, those are some of my things that I do.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of the things. Like, I struggle still with the time management. Like, I can do the YouTube. I still work during the day. I work for the hospital here in the city I live in, and so I work there. I do the YouTube thing. I do the family thing. So it's almost like I'm consistently always pulled between my time.
Right.
But at the same time, like, the most important thing that I can do is invest in my family. So at the end of the day, I will err on the side of investing in my children and my family first, and like the chips can fall where they will, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like God called. I heard a quote many years ago, and I wrote it in the flyleaf of my Bible. It says, "The light that shines the brightest shines the strongest at home."
Mm.
And I've always held that close to me, through no matter what I face, because I feel like if I cannot be the father and the husband and the man of my home, I can't be one anywhere. If I
Yeah.
can't lead my home, I can't do YouTube. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm helping other people if my family suffers in the process. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I'm putting forth a good image or a respectable, um, you know, character in front of all these people if I'm looking at pornography, if I'm running around on my wife, if I'm doing all these things that are
Hmm.
contrary to what I know is right. And that's such an issue today. People
Yeah.
being real and owning their choices and living in a respectable and with integrity. What do we have to do to get back to the point where people put an emphasis on doing the right thing and living with integrity, you know? I feel like that's a critical
Absolutely.
point that we can't understate, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of my motivation too is like nowadays for women, it's there's this whole, hey honey, there's this whole feminist movement, right? And you know,
Mhm.
feeling like women should be moms, that they all should be career women, and they should also be boss babes and be making tons of money, and and when I think about just being a biblical woman, like just going back to the roots, and like I don't know, I believe for me, like I wouldn't work out of the home. Like I do work part-time, yes, but I prioritize doing that when my kids are asleep the most. And so
Mhm.
um I just that's also, what I want to share, and just going back to the roots as women, and being proud to be feminine, and being homemakers, and not feeling like you have to have these two different lives as a mom and a career woman, and all of that. And so when making like it's funny to me when I see different people, like I've talked to different people, and everyone has their own life, they can live it how they want, but I've talked to different people, and they're shocked that I do my husband's laundry, and that I pack his lunch, or I always have supper ready for him. Like, to so many people in the world, that's just not that's not normal. And I'm like, well, my husband works like 10 hours a day ranching. He works really hard, and I'm at home. Like it's the I believe God gave us different roles as men and women, right? And I'm not scared to talk about that. And yeah, even through like eating this way, I've grown in. Can you guys please go to the living room? Thank you. I've grown in my love for cooking and making nourishing food. And my husband's obviously benefited from that. He's pretty happy with all the steak and the potatoes and buttery meals and roast beef, all these things. He's loving it. So
Well, and the thing is, like, I think that it's the role of moms is so underrated because, like, I don't think there's a bigger role. Like, as a father, I'm always gone. Like, I'm always off making money. I'm outside of the home. As a mom, my wife has balanced both. She has worked, but she has also been the mainstay of investing in our kids. Now, I do as well, but not nearly as much as she does, you know. And there's no greater role for any woman on the planet than to invest in the next generation. You directly impact the future of the world more so than anyone else on the planet because you're a mother. You gave birth to these children. You raise their first idea, their first example, the first things they see every single day, more so than anything growing up. They're going to see you in the way you respond, the way that you act, the way that you retaliate, the way that you respond to certain situations. There's no better impact on the future of the world than being a mother first and foremost. Fathers too. I'm not discounting that at all, but that role is so underappreciated and under over scrutinized and underappreciated, so to speak. And I feel like for anyone, I was talking with the contoured carnivore about this exact issue. I was like, I think that people want to discount that role, but like there's no greater role for a woman today than to be living out God's plan and impacting the future for generations to come. If you want to impact the future, be a great mom. Set the example for your children. Invest in your children. You'll impact the future generations more so that way than you will doing anything else. I feel like that wholeheartedly.
absolutely, it's just so important. And the world is not pushing in that direction, right? They're pushing in the
Mm-mm.
opposite. And so that's why I feel like it is so important to have people standing for the truth and traditional values, because it seems like there's fewer and fewer people like that, but I believe it's the way God intended. And um, that's also why I've chosen to homeschool my kids. I don't think everybody has to do that. That's maybe not the path for everyone, but that's what I've chosen to do. And I just, my kids come first, and I want to raise them up
Mm.
in a biblical way. Um, and yeah.
Awesome. So what message would you have to that person if you had, one message that you could get across, one sentence that you could say, whatever, to that person who was suffering from depression, was suffering from, mental disorders or whatever you will, who was struggling to lose weight, was struggling with their health, whatever the case is, what would be the message that you would send to them now? Like, what do you think that you could say that would help them the most?
Um, Something that I have thought about the most would be consistency over perfection. Like when I was, just so done with being depressed and um, so over it, I thought, well, I know the things I should be doing. I should be exercising. I should be eating right. I should be doing these things, and and then you almost get caught in this way of thinking, well, I probably will only do it a part of the time, or I won't do be super whatever super be able to do it every single day. And but that doesn't matter. Like, you have to start somewhere, right? So just start where you
Yes.
are and just be consistent, even if it is, you go for I when I started hiking, I was doing like these 5-minute little hikes up the hill, and I was so out of breath. And it's like, but that's where I started, right? And you get stronger, and just do what you can each day. And even if, and take care of yourself. If that means handing your kids off to a babysitter for an hour so that you can do some self-care and whatnot, do that. But just practice on being consistent, not perfect. I know I'd often get stuck in the slump where, oh, I cheated, and I ate this for this one meal of the day. So, well, I might as well, like, the whole day then just eat like crap. And it's like, no, just because you have one little thing, like, you don't have to throw your whole day completely off. Just practice consistency and have grace with yourself, and know that you're not alone, and God loves you. And whatever happens, there's always somebody that you can turn to. There's always resources. There's always people that have been through it. And so you're never alone. There's always hope. As much as it doesn't feel like it in that moment, it really doesn't. But there is always hope.
Yes, I agree. And I'm thankful for that. God is my hope. God is my refuge. God is my strength. And if it was not for his faithfulness, I would not be here to have this conversation with you. He has always been faithful to me. And like, I depend on that. And that's something that, I truly value. That's how intentional Carnivore came to be. I love Carnivore. I think it's radically transformed my life. However, at the same time, like, the intentional is the part that I'm very intentional about. I'm intentional because I feel like I have a purpose and a direction to share my mission of getting the gospel out, getting Jesus Christ's name out. That
Yeah.
is of utmost importance to me, because I can
Right.
have a beautiful, in health, optimal performing body, and if it gets thrown into hell, it doesn't do me any good. If I have to
Yeah.
stand
Right.
before God and give an account, which we all will give an account before Christ
Yeah.
one day, having a beautiful body at that point is not going to matter one iota. How I raise my children, I will give an account for. All the things I will give an account for. But having a beautiful body won't fall into play, other than how I treated what he gave me and what he gave me to work with. So I think that's critically important, and I take
Yeah.
I take it to heart, man.
Absolutely. Like, if you could be the healthiest person on earth, have the nicest muscles, and the nicest toned body, all these things, and be the healthiest physically, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, at the end of your life, like, what was all that? What was all the point of that, right? There's nothing at the end of the day. So that's why it's just so all intertwined, right?
hmm it absolutely is, and honestly, the most peace that I have, I get up in the mornings and I work from 6 to 2:30, so I'm usually up a little early. I go to bed about 1. I get up at 5. It's crazy. I don't
Wow.
have a lot of sleep, but one of the first things that I do is I start out my morning. I get up out of bed, and I work remote, so I'm at home all the time. So, but I will get in the Bible, and I read a proverbs that corresponds with the day. There's 31 proverbs, and there's usually 30 to 31 days every single month. And so I always read the Proverbs on a consistent
Mhm.
basis. And I get in those scriptures, and I always learn something new. I always get ministered to, and I always get something from that word speaking to me, that throughout the day I can always refer back to it and feel that comfort from Christ speaking to me throughout the day. And I think that's critical. I think that's important for us in the way that we're designed. Um,
Absolutely.
but it's grown so much, and I'm so extremely thankful for it. If you will, tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody how, all your links and all your things, so that they can find you and follow you and whatnot, and so they can
Yeah.
get a hold of you however you would like to promote that.
Yeah. Well, if there's my Instagram handle over my name there. So, Ancestral Flourishing. And that's also the same, my same TikTok um, username as well. So that's where you can find me. And um, I've had a few people, when are you going to start a YouTube channel? I'm like, oh, I feel like that's a whole new ball game. Like, I'm not quite ready for that yet, but that might be something I've thought about maybe for the future. And I'm working on an ebook right now, so not totally sure when that's going to be ready yet, though. But um, I will hopefully have that within the next while. So, but yeah, that's where you can find me, and can always send me a message on Instagram or TikTok, all of that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. I appreciate you coming on with me today. I enjoyed the
Thank
chat. Everybody go follow Ancestral Flourishing, like follow Nicole, encourage her, give her some, words of encouragement and support, and just tell her how much you appreciate her being here today. I appreciate you being here, taking time. I know you got kids bouncing around just like I
Yeah.
do. I got the door barricaded and locked, with reinforcements up so they can't break in. But I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule and coming and chatting with me today. It means the world to me to fellowship with other believers and other people who are kind of on the same mission that I am. It's none of it's going to look the exact same to everybody, but I feel like the more we share our stories, the more we get our message out, the more we
Yeah,
can impact the future and work together. That's what it's all about for me. I enjoy that kind of thing. So
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and it was good to chat. And yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And we will do it again, hopefully sometime in the future. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. And God bless you. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And we'll do it again at some point in the future, hopefully.
Sounds good. Awesome. All right. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Absolutely. You too. Take care. Everybody, take care. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you watching. You guys stay strong. Go give her a love, a like, and a share. Subscribe to her channel. If you haven't liked here, do that as well. Share the video. Like it, subscribe, share it with a family member. You never know who you're going to impact. You never know who you're going to influence. You never know whose life you're going to change. It may be somebody that you love, somebody whose life you never knew you had an impact on that you change forever. So stay strong and keep pushing forward. And we'll see you guys next time. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Stay strong. Keep pushing forward.